So we are going to be replacing a tire on a bike. This is the rear tire, and as you can see, it's flat, like flat. So let's get to it. So over here we have the quick release. So I'll go ahead and pull that. And then this bike has hydraulic brakes. So it's just right here. The brakes pads are already apart, so there's really nothing to do. But on your bike, you may have to release the brakes. And there's going to be any number of videos that you can look at to get instructions for releasing that. I'm going to flip it over to get to the other side now. Well, just by flipping it over, the wheel came out and the chain released itself and everything got all undone. A little tip, you may want to take a picture of that before you do it so that when you go to put it back together, it'll be easier. So that's that. But now the tire, as you can see, is just loose. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is take the cap off the stem here. And then I'm going to work my fingers around here and pull this out all the way around. And it goes really easily. They sell tools for this also if you're having trouble with it, but as you can see, I just got it out just that fast. So then the next thing I'm going to do is push that stem back through and then pull the tube out. And there we go. One flat tube. Okay, so before I do anything with the new tube, what I'm going to do is feel around the inside to feel where the thing was punctured, because what we don't want is to put a brand new tube in there and have it be punctured the same way. So it's just going to be a matter of feeling around, but be careful because whatever punctured the inner tube is going to be sharp and you don't want that hurting your fingers. So I'm just going to take a little time and find out why that thing is flat. Well, harumph. I've gone all through the whole tire. I took it all the way off and really got my head in there and felt around. Couldn't find anything in there that's poking the inner tube. So what I'm going to do is fill up the tube and see if I can find the leak that way. Well, I found it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not, but I put my ear up to it and a little spot right by my thumb. There you go. There you can see it. And I put my ear up to it and you could hear it. I don't know if you can hear it here, but it's definitely got a leak in there. So based on the location of the stem, I should be able to go around the rim and get a better idea of where it's leaking from. So let's take another look. Well, I would love nothing better than to show you the nail or the piece of glass or whatever, but I've run my finger around here many times and there's just nothing in there. The only thing I can think is something got in there, poked it, and came back out at some point. One way or the other, we're going to put the new tube in. Alright, here's the new tube. It's got the right kind of valve. It's a Schrader valve, not a Presta. Make sure you get the right kind of there and make sure it's the right size and all that. And a little tip I picked up from one of these videos is to inflate the thing a little bit first. So I'm going to do that first. Okay, old bad tube, new good tube. Let's do this. Okay, so since I got the tire all the way off, we have to start off by putting it back on here, at least halfway. So I'm gonna work my fingers around and get the tire back installed in there. Okay, and now you can see that the rim is inside the tire on both sides. But what we got to do is put the bead on the inside of the rim on half of it. So I'm going to work around and get the bead inside the rim on this side. Okay, so now the bead is inside the rim on this side. If I turn it around, it's outside the rim over here, and that's where we're going to put the tube in. So we got to find the valve stem, because that's where we're going to start. So here's the valve stem, and I'm going to lay it down. Then I take the new tube, we're going to put that through, but there's a trick. If I just try to push the stem through the hole there, it won't go. It's very finicky that way. But what you can do, if you'll notice, there's this little rubber part there. You can pull that out and then push the valve stem through, and then it'll go very easily. Okay, so I've got the valve stem through, and now I can go push the rest of the inner tube inside the rest of the tire. And all I'm going to do is kind of grab it and sort of tuck it in there all the way around. I'll come back when that's done. Okay, so now the tube is inside all the way around, and if you didn't inflate the tire first, that would have been really, really hard. But I did, and it was really easy. So next thing to do is put this bead inside, and it'll go real easy for most of it, but then at the end you're gonna have to use both thumbs to kind of just crank it in there, and it's not too bad. You'll get it. What I'm finding is working really good for me is to use my fingers like this and move around and kind of just tuck it in like that. Over here, tuck it in, and then tuck it in. Okay, here it is right up at the very top, and just push it in like that, and then it's seated all the way around, and we can fill up the tire, and everything should be in place. So I filled it up just a little bit. I mean, you can see that it's got some pressure in there, but not a lot. But what I'm doing is I'm checking all around the bead on both sides to make sure that it's properly seated. Because if that's not, then we got to do this all over again. So, okay, so we're supposed to be between 30 and 50. And as you can see, we're set to 44. I'm going to back this down just a little. 42. Good enough. Good enough. So we're at 40 pounds, which is right between where this one is supposed to be, between 30 and 50. Time to put the thing back on. Alright, like I said, this one has disc brakes. I don't know if this is showing up or not, but you can see the gap in there. That's where the, these are the calipers, that's where the disc is going to go. Right, so you got to put the wheel in here so that the disc goes in there while still putting the chain on. And this whole thing is going to have to bend around and everything like that. I'm not going to bother doing this on camera. That'd be a nightmare, but I'll get it and I'll show you when I'm done. One little tip that I did learn, because this is not the first time I've done this, is to set the bike up on its handlebars and its seat. That'll make things a lot easier than trying to balance everything around. So I'm going to do that. Okay, I'm really close here. You can see I'm about to drop the disc into the calipers and then get the nut the axle, whatever you want to call it, seated in here on both sides, and then I'll tighten up the quick release. And as you can see, I had to pull the shifter here up that way. It's just spring loaded, so it's pretty easy. Pull that up there, put it all on, no problem. Okay, everything's all tight. One last test. Just give it a pedal. Spins nice and smooth. Chain's all good. And we have one changed tire. Oops. Gonna put this cap back on the valve. There we go. Now we have one changed tire, and hopefully have a very happy 14-year-old.